everybody. Thank you for watching this week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. And if you want to see more episodes like this, please click the subscribe button because there are new episodes every week and you don't want to miss them. And this week, for the first time ever, there will be 3 separate videos being released back to cover the topic of the growing problem of child sex trafficking in the U.S. Each episode in this 3-part series will provide statistics and facts about a specific area of the problem and conclude with a real-life story from a survivor of child sex trafficking. Today's episode is the first and will look at the size of the problem. Tomorrow's video will shed light on who the victims are and who is at the greatest risk of being victimized. And the following day's video will point out who is victimizing these kids by purchasing them for sex. This is a serious problem and deserves our full attention and effort to combat it and help keep kids safe. So make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of these important upcoming videos. Now, on with the episode. Experts contend there are a minimum of 100,000 U.S. minors under the age of 18 who are American citizens or lawful permanent residents of the U.S. and are being trafficked for commercial sex right now. And there are up to 325,000 more at risk for becoming victims. The average age at which youth are being lured into such exploitive situations is between 13 to 15 years old. One researcher found that each child is purchased on average 5.4 times a day and may be forced to have sex with more than 30 men in a week and more than 100 in a month. While this is beyond disturbing, it is important to point out that in most cases, these are not children shipped from around the world to be victimized in the U.S. According to the 2019 Trafficking in Persons report, 77% of trafficking victims are exploited within their country of residence. The same is true in the U.S., where most child sex traffickers operate by building trust with victims and then manipulate them into sexual exploitation. Children are far more likely to be trafficked by people they know, including members of their own family. And SaveTheChildren.org states that outside of family members, friends and romantic partners are also typical ways that traffickers find access to kids. These various forms of manipulation are why UNICEF found that over a 9-year period, fewer than 10% of cases involved kidnapping. While it is important to teach our kids to be safe around those they do not know, UNICEF warns that while we are on high alert for windowless vans and teaching our children about stranger danger, we may well be missing out on what is really going on, which is a majority of kids being trafficked by individuals who have already established a relationship with them. I have said it before in previous episodes, but I will say it here again. The traffickers are looking for vulnerabilities to use against the kids. That is why, of the more than 23,500 runaways reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 2018, 1 in 7 were likely victims of child sex trafficking. So, keeping kids in safe homes can help keep thousands of kids from being victimized out on the streets. While this is a nationwide problem, each state is being affected differently. The Minnesota Department of Human Services received 651 reports of child sexual exploitation and child sex trafficking from May 2017 through December 2018 from across the state, and about 30% of the cases concerned children under 12 years old. Almost unbelievably, about 50% concerned cases where parents or caregivers were alleged to be the offenders. In New York City alone, there are more than 3 times as many kids victimized than what the entire state of Minnesota reported, with 2,480 children being sexually exploited in 2016 alone. And a study published in 2016 estimated that there were approximately 79,000 kids who were victims of sex trafficking in just the state of Texas. Rather than list every state's problems or continue to make a case for how big of an issue child sex trafficking is in the U.S., I would like to share a story from a survivor who lived through being a victim of child sex trafficking. Her story is unique, as every story is, but it is a story that I believe most would not think of when asked what child sex trafficking looks like. And yet it hits on all the things previously mentioned in this video. She was vulnerable, she was a child, she was not kidnapped, and she was trafficked by someone that she trusted. Danielle was 17 years old and a freshman at Northeastern University when she met the trafficker who forced her into 2 years of sex slavery. On campus and away from home, someone made an introduction, and she was invited to a party. And when she went, nobody was there, only this one guy who answered the door. And he said she must be confused or it's a different day. But I'm about to go out for dinner. Why don't you come and join me? The next day or two, there was lots of attention from the man towards Danielle. Would you like one of these, or have you ever tried that before? Just a nice guy being thoughtful and nice. This is what is known as the grooming phase, where a trafficker establishes a false relationship with the potential victim. The grooming phase is used to manipulate the victim into sex trafficking and to isolate them from those who really do care. Danielle started college in September and was out of touch with her mom by January. For 2 years, Danielle would find herself being prostituted to men who were not concerned about her constant victimization. What is often left out of the discussion of child sex trafficking is that while it may only take a few weeks to coerce and manipulate a child into sex trafficking, it can take much longer to heal that child. Danielle's mom said that it comes in baby steps. It took 4 or 5 years for her to really begin to emerge again as the person she had been as a child. Danielle's mom also wants people to know that this can happen to kids with good upbringings, with nothing bad going on in the household, as was the case for Danielle. She wants you to know that it can happen in suburbia and it could happen to your kids too. That is all for this episode, but make sure you click the subscribe button because this 3-part series continues tomorrow with another episode and a look at who the victims are. Tomorrow's episode will conclude with another survivor story and deeper insight into this growing problem. Thanks for watching.